Welcome to the Estonian General Intelligence Podcast. It is my great pleasure to welcome to the podcast Dean of IT of TalTech University, Gert Jervan. Welcome.
Thank you.
First of all, I would like to thank you for TalTech kindly hosting us and the podcast series so far in the TalTech studios where we're sitting at right now. It is a great pleasure and has been very beneficial for us to definitely be here.
Oh yeah, as the technology is going to the education on in a very broad way, so we have to have a lot of different technical equipment supporting our educational activities. So yeah, we have studios, we have all kind of different recording equipment. So here we are.
Excellent. Thank you. And I think before we dive into the big topics of what is AGI, when do we get to the AGI, do we live in matrix and everything like this that I expect to cover today, because I think this is the place to have this discussion. To kind of jump into the conversation, I would like to ask you to give a bit of an overview of your background, rather than me reading your LinkedIn page for everyone, and really kind of focusing on the key maybe passions or key reflections where you've seen that how did you become passionate about IT? How did you become passionate about academia? What do you like about the research side of it? And basically, how do we get here?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think my first contact with computers was when I was like 10 years old or even younger. So I had kind of a great opportunity as my mother was working for institutions that was doing an analysis and statistics of the Estonian medical data. Then they had a computing center at that time, which was equipped with Swedish computers from the company called Saab. And that was quite an eye-opener and very fascinating at that time, especially. And later on, we were really lucky that during the high school times, we had computer classes which were taking place in extremely new computer classroom, which was equipped with IBM PS2 computers, because at Soviet Union you had all the old Soviet hardware available, but suddenly we got this brand new IBM class, and that was very, 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 very fascinating. And then later on, it was obvious that I was continuing at university here at TalTech at undergraduate level. So first I started with computer science and I continued with computer engineering already. And after that, I moved over to Sweden, where I was living almost 8 years and where I was also doing my PhD. And that was mostly on microelectronics side, so dependability and reliability of the microelectronic systems, computer engineering, various topics around this one. Very interesting times as well, because we had a collaboration with Ericsson and Saab and other big Swedish companies. And when I moved back to 2005, I have been working here at TalTech, so continuing on the same line, but the dependability concept has become much, much wider. So at the moment, I'm interested about the dependability and reliability and security of microelectronic systems, biomedical engineering, but we have been also recently working with fiber optical systems. We have been building here at TalTech up new fiber optic lab. So all those are like various aspects of the technology. And from where the AI aspect is coming from is that essentially we have been working with AI topics and AI methods for a very, very, very long time. But AI in its current form, especially the generative AI, when it was coming like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, or when it started to appear, then it was very obvious that we have reached to the kind of a tilting point. That previously it was kind of theoretical. We used machine learning in very many aspects, but it was very limited. And now suddenly we had the computing power, we had suddenly the computing centers which were able to do it. We have the data, which was not previously available massively. We have the communication network. So it was obvious that now the AI is going to fly. And when 2, 3 years ago, the first large GPT models started to appear, then it was kind of, I would say, even a little bit like a scary moment, because you realize that the development started to happen extremely fast. And I still share up to the point the ideas and fears what Jan Tallinn and his collaborators are sharing, that we have to be very responsible when we are using AI, very cautious when we are using AI. Because we potentially can see malicious use, we can see it using in a very destructive manner. So for me, AI is definitely a way forward, but at the same time, I think this aspect of having a reliable and trustworthy AI has to be in the middle of everything, and then from there we can move forward.
Okay, let's dive into this one. And when we're talking about kind of setting the guidelines or ground rules and all of this, for me, often a question is it too late already? Considering the fact that the amount of investment and the amount of competitive investment, especially in the US, into the AI field, and also competitive investment and the research and the scientific discoveries and technological discoveries that are made in China and in the rest of the world, how much do we still have a possibility to actually guide where this advancement is going?
Well, I think there are several dimensions of the same story. Yes, from one side, the companies have like kind of arms race at the moment. So everybody wants to have the biggest models, the most comprehensive systems, etc. On the other side, we have a geopolitical race, and this one very well reflects generic geopolitical situation in the world, where we are having basically West versus China, and we have the BRICS countries, and we have all kind of rogue actors and so on. And I think with AI, we are in the very same position like we are with global politics in general. So we are going to have a race, we are going to have a competition, we are going to see which kind of world order is going to dominate, and this world order is basically emphasized with AI, or AI is one part of it. So like there is this it's not even a joke, but it's a serious concern that, for example, when China, which has been very strong supporter of Africa for a very long time, on obvious reasons, because they need resources, and at the moment they're making their AI tools available to Africa. And what is the concern is that maybe the next generation of Africans, they are only recognizing communist powers as a normal way of operating, because AI for them has been always explaining that the communism is the best way forward, because models are trained in that way. And in that way, you can actually, through AI, start to influence the world. So that's going to be a part of the entire geopolitical situation in general. So that's what happens in between countries. Another thing what happens with companies, and the companies are obviously at the moment trying to get the biggest market share, because we have seen in the past of technology that if you are the front runner, you are taking the market, whether we are talking about IBM in the 50s, 60s, Microsoft in 80s, Facebook in the 2000s. Yes, there has been always alternatives, but the others are following the lead. And now the question is pretty much who will be the dominating power, whether it is OpenAI or anyone else. And if they can get dominant market positions, then obviously others will just follow. And at the moment, we are in a stage that someone is trying to establish as the number one.
Absolutely, I agree with the geopolitical competitiveness aspect and the different motivations behind it. Maybe I'm not as strong on the African situation, because my experience is that actually the influences or actually the support and collaboration is coming from all sides of the world, and I think this is also a very competitive space. But at the same time, I don't think it's winner take all or one will take all. We
So
have to consider how
we have not lost
yes.
Africa yet.
Well, it's I don't think it's ours to lose even. It's I think the kind of the global South collaboration is very important, and the discussions taking place. And at the same time, I think that, as I said, I think there are different collaboration models and then working together, and just the great vastness of the continent, I think, will not enable for anybody to have the single influence over there. But rather than going like deep political in this discussion over here, I'm more of a had in mind actually from the technology standpoint, because my take has been and kind of an understanding, and when I'm communicating about the AGI, coming AGI and things like this, I'm like, it's like a new level of intelligence that's coming to the table. And I like the term AMI, advanced machine intelligence, rather than having this artificial moment there. And just from the standpoint of how much with different models advancing the general intelligence advancement of how much we actually have control over where this research and development is going.
Well, I don't think that we can actually control anything. So we can set up some frameworks, we can set up some boundaries. It's like very many people don't like this analog, but still I think it's valid if we are looking at the history of nuclear, whether we are talking about civilian nuclear, nuclear power stations, nuclear in medicine versus nuclear for military use. And despite everything, I think there are some frameworks agreed in the world what most of the countries don't overstep. And I think with AI, we are going to see something similar, that we are definitely not going to control. We will not have some kind of AI treaties or anything like that. However, we probably will see in the future some kind of global agreements, how we are going to use AI, what are exactly all kind of ethical limitations. A very big discussion point will be definitely how AI will be used in military context. So it's more again on agreeing on some common understanding, because that's exactly, I think, the biggest difference is that when we are talking about AI, it's obviously algorithmic, it's technology, but we as humans, we are carrying the human values, we are having the ethics, which have to be carried over to the AI as well. And if we can agree that we are going to apply AI so that it aligns with the human values, then we already have set up some kind of a framework. Of course, you could use AI theoretically for anything, but we have to recognize that the power of AI is big, and it's going to be probably much bigger, and how we are going to use it. Because obviously, at the moment, also when someone in the world would like to take a weapon and start to do something, then the rest of the world would jump on that particular country or a human and basically suppress him. And I think with AI we will see also the same things, that if some kind of a hacker formation or whatever would like to start to use AI on malicious purposes, then probably countries as a whole will respond and take them down. So it's not anymore that, okay, it's happening, I don't know, in Bangladesh, so that's the Bangladeshi problem. No, finally there will be global problems, and probably there will be some kind of coalitions which will help Bangladeshi to take them down. So that's my understanding.
Yes. Well, the challenge with values is that often when there is a discussion about the values and we need to instill the human values and all of this, we automatically kind of assume the positive values. And the values can be very negative as well. And one could even make an argument that considering that LLMs are trained on human data, they already have all the values and all the different views of the values embedded. So from that standpoint, it's always an interesting question. I am personally leaning a bit more to the fact that I heard, I think about a month ago in a podcast, somebody saying that, well, when I look at the most intelligent people in the world, usually they are fairly peaceful and collaborative. And I have this kind of a positive or optimistic view that the smarter AI and the smarter the machine intelligence gets, maybe it will be also more peaceful, and maybe it doesn't have the kind of the bottom layer of Maslow pyramid, the desire to destroy everything, especially considering the fact that with the scientific discoveries that the utilization of AI advances as well, it may actually bring in the age of abundance, where we don't have to compete for the resources, we don't have to compete for the land, we don't have to compete for our place on Earth, and there are many philosophical aspects that come to play. But one thing that I would like to kind of go a bit deeper, when trying to set up those regulations or rules or have those agreements, we have the tendency of doing this in human pace. And considering the fast technological advancement of the AI technologies and utilization of the AI technologies and how embedded they're getting into everyday lives, how do we actually balance the slowness of humans reaching an agreement, and so especially, and then putting that agreement in on paper, and then having that paper having some kind of a power going through the legislative process, and balancing that with the lightning speed of technological development. So how do we go from actually setting up rules and regulations for today, but that are not valid already tomorrow?
I think it's a very difficult question because when we are talking about rules and regulations, since they are always as an anchor for developers. So when you have a company which wants to develop something and you suddenly start to take in all kinds of different rules and regulations, and this one slows down the innovation. This one slows down the pace, and that's something what we already see in any other technology, Europe versus US, where US has much less regulations and the speed of innovation is much higher compared to Europe. And of course, since human rights advocates can argue that, okay, here in Europe, for example, we are very careful about personal data, we are here very careful about all kinds of experiments which involve humans and so on, while in US the rules are much more relaxed. And obviously that comes a competitive advantage when you want to move forward, but it means that society has to accept it. Here in Europe, we have a very clear understanding about our personal data, our human rights, while in US, it's maybe not so much. There are obviously, people are very different, but the generic understanding of society is much more relaxed. They are much more relaxed because if it brings benefits, then maybe sometimes they can agree that their data is used to create this benefit for them. And I think with AI, it's something similar. However, we again start to see a very big difference in between Europe and US. In US, they start to have regulations which are very domain specific, while in Europe, they try to have a generic legislative framework, AI Act and everything related to this one. And now again, the question comes, which one is better? Whether you want to have domain-specific rules for AI, like, for example, if you take AI in healthcare, versus generic rules on AI, like in Europe they're doing, which are the high-risk use cases and so on. Which one is better? I don't know, but I have a feeling at least that the US one, maybe it requires more effort because you have to consider each domain separately. But at the same time, you can move forward because you don't have to have those generic requirements, but you have to consider every time. While in Europe, they want to have it one shot covering all the problems. And some people are already saying that this one is again playing against Europe, in the sense that our legislative process, due to the complexity, is just taking so much time that the companies don't have the legal security to operate here. So they move to the other domain, other parts of the world where they have less legal complications. I don't know which one's better. From some perspective, I, as a human private person, I kind of appreciate that I know what happens with my data, who can handle it, what will be secondary use, etc., etc. But well, at the same time, it's really nice to see those wonderful apps which are knowing more about you than you yourself. So it's a very philosophical question, actually.
Yes, sometimes it does make us jealous to see all the features and functionalities that get rolled out in US and that will take their time in trickling to Europe, even if they get there.
Or even worse, when you want to download something and it says that you cannot download because you are in Europe and we are not compliant with blah, 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 and it's not available on European market. I have seen just yesterday, I saw this one.
Okay. Yes, I've seen a couple of those in the last few days as well. Definitely an interesting question. But shall we dive in to the big one? What is AGI? When is it coming? Are we there yet? I'm not going to the matrix one quite yet. How do you define in this discussion? How do you define the AGI for yourself? And then how are you assessing, and what are the kind of the key criteria that you're kind of keeping in mind when thinking of our, whether we're there, or when will we be there?
Well, I don't think that there is like one single criteria which can define that we have AGI and it's now happening. We see this kind of behavior already in some domains where we can definitely declare that computers are outpacing humans in all different aspects. And we obviously see that there are, in some domains, humans still have a much upper hand than the computers have. So probably for me, this kind of AGI era starts from the moment where the computers can be part of the everyday life like any other human being. So it's at the moment, obviously, we are using AI as an assistant. So it assists human, and that's not AGI for me. Now, Jack Clark, for example, has given all kind of different estimates when it will appear and how to understand when it has appeared. But all those discussions are coming down to the point that when we have a system that can be among us so that we don't recognize that it's a system. That's for me, it's kind of understanding of AGI. Till then, it's a tool to assist humans.
Mm-hmm. So kind of an existential Turing test, that not only when you're communicating and whether you recognize that it's a machine or not, but it's actually in the conversation, or whether it's in the room, that so you don't even recognize that it's part of the conversation. Or
Yeah, and also if I'm comparing it with the humans, then we as humans in the morning we wake up with one idea, but during the daytime we are adapting ourselves, we are taking new tasks, we are deciding, okay, this task can be dropped and this can be enhanced, and maybe we should also start to do something completely new. But obviously, the current AI systems are not yet at that level. So they are still supporting you on specific tasks, specific problems, and they cannot jump over the domain boundaries. They cannot decide or invent tasks by themselves, and so on and so on. So this part of the reasoning is the one which is missing at the moment in the current systems. And basically, the question is, what is the best for whom? For this AI system, for its master, for its organization, for whom? And this part, I don't think it's yet there.
Okay, I would challenge it a little bit though, because in my experience, and if you listen to all kind of prompting videos and how to use LLMs the best, and all of this, a lot of the advice is actually on how to ask it to take different roles, how to change the level of communication or the level of specification that it gives the answer to. And I see actually quite a bit of switching there in taking a different role, different domain. You can ask the answer to this question as a physics professor right now. Ask this one, the answer the same question as a kindergarten teacher. And so you kind of do get the different perspectives. Or you can ask, it explains certain scientific criteria as a physicist, as a mathematician, as a chemist, and all of this. So I'm kind of seeing but maybe my view is a bit more kind of layman's view, that I see that aspect there quite a bit. And also, even when I'm having conversations and sometimes having arguments where, because of the hallucinations or some other reasons, that I'm saying that, but, consider this one, or I'm providing additional information and materials, it actually amazes me how quickly and without emotions, it's able to switch the perspective and position based on the new data and the new ask that's available.
Yes, but it's in that context, it's still fulfilling the same task what it has got. But what I keep in mind is that, for example, I start in the morning, I start to work on the new research paper. And then AI would tell to me that, forget this paper. This conference where you're going to submit this paper, it has very nice community, but this reach of this paper will be rather limited. Instead, not even going to the conference, but in Brussels in 2 weeks' time, there will be actually a major policy event where you would have much bigger scientific impact on if you could actually contribute there. And proposing there that, okay, what is the agenda, etc., etc. So not staying within the task what you have given, but actually switching in between tasks, bringing up new tasks, taking this entire context where we are living, and from there starting to work with you for your good. So
Okay.
that's what I'm keeping in mind. And that's something what the current AI models are definitely not capable, because they cannot go out of the particular task formation what you have given to this one. Because essentially what there is a difference that, yes, maybe you can lead even the current AI systems into that one, but it requires enormous amount of input to them, something what
Okay.
you have to prompt by yourself. However, what they are not able to do is this kind of generic reasoning that they would understand you so well that they would start to actually propose something what is better for you. Essentially, whether AI would tell you that, hey, the work what you're doing today, it's rubbish, go instead for that or that position, here is opening, do this one, learn those skills, and so on. That's something what the AI cannot do at the moment.
Okay. Interesting. I don't want to really get into the challenging part, but there are certain aspects that I do want to kind of have a discussion about. And
Yeah.
this is something that part of it seems to me that it's part also the question or the prompt of what you're actually asking. And I've gotten into the habit that I go prepare for a seminar that I'm doing with a customer, or preparing for the discussion that we're having today, and going into the detailed work and staying in that task and all this, and then coming back actually and saying, now considering everything that we're done, please review the context of what I'm trying to achieve in life, what my company, what our purpose and the goal is, how do we advise organizations how to be ready for the AGI and all this. Take into consider this context. Now evaluate the work that we've just done and give me the fuller context. And the perspectives that I get back are quite impressive, including the perspectives that you should consider that there is this conference or this event, or you should actually integrate maybe the podcast topic even better into the discussion or something like this. So this is kind of taking this, asking it to take a more helicopter view and raising the viewpoint.
You said very correctly, asking,
Yes.
which means that you are the one who is asking questions from the AI. What I keep in mind is that it would come up with those ideas by itself. So let's take a very simple example. I'm working with my course material. I'm asking AI for new references, for new ideas, what additional topics I should include into the lecture. But AI would not go to that domain that would say, without asking, that, look, your course is magnificent, but look, you are actually teaching this course in those and those study programs. Instead of that course or those topics, you should instead talk about those things or propose a new course, because for where the global world is going, this particular study program would actually need those and those other competencies, which are not covered there at the moment. I can get this one if I'm smart enough of asking it, but AI itself will not go to that analysis without asking it. So that's what I'm keeping in mind.
Okay.
So we are at the moment, we as a humans, we are in the loop. If we are smart enough, we are asking the right questions. If we are not smart enough, AI would not propose those answers without asking. That's what I'm keeping in mind. So that's a big difference for me, that when AI reaches that level, that it can start to propose the questions for you. Have you considered this one? Have you considered that one? There is an opportunity. There is a blind spot. All these kind of things.
Curious to see how this develops as we're moving into more agentic world, and the
Exactly.
LLMs are taking themselves more of an agentic role.
And when we are talking about AGI, that's something which starts to me be AGI, where the computer, well, computer in generic terms, is there as one of your team members. It can be smarter, it can be less smart, but it's still, when you're working in a team, you're expecting that you're not only asking questions from your team members, but the team members are coming up with their ideas as well. At the moment, AI is basically like kind of team member who is only answering to your questions, not proposing by yourself independently the ideas. If you're saying, yeah, please brainstorm on that one, it works really well. But if you're not saying this one, it doesn't do it.
Mm-hmm. So it doesn't barge in itself by itself
Exactly.
with its viewpoints.
Exactly.
Because what I'm integrating right now into some of the organizations is actually having the AI participating in the meetings, kind of listening in, listen to the conversation, and every now and then going, okay, what's your perspective on what's been discussed? Anything new to add? Something that we should consider? And this part, it's actually starting to do quite well.
Absolutely.
And I think it's only a one step of writing one agent that says that every 5 minutes barge in with the best ideas.
Exactly. And that's probably the challenging part is exactly that how to from where to bring in this knowledge and know-how, that you are not becoming like this kind of stupid team member, but you are becoming intelligent team member.
Absolutely. But speaking of this kind of learning and participating and driving the discussion, and also what kind of questions and how to ask the questions, how do you actually this is a topic that's been in the back of my mind. How do we actually define what to teach students these days in the university? How do you actually define what the world how do you know what the world will be in 5 years when the student coming into the admission period just ended, coming into the university starting in the fall, in 3 years and 5 years, where they'll be?
I just yesterday or day before yesterday, one of the professors from one of the U.S. universities was saying very well that the better AI programming agents are becoming, the more programming you have to teach. And AI is a tool, and it's the same thing like what came with, I don't know, let's take a tractor. Tractor is like 10 times more efficient than a horse. You have to learn how to drive a tractor, and then you can do a lot of things. The same thing with AI, that there are like, and of course, again, with tractors, you have the guys who are building tractors, who are maintaining tractors, who are building accessories to tractors, who are driving tractors, etc., etc. There is an entire ecosystem. And the same thing with AI. We have people who are developing AI tools. We have in the future, I think, most of the IT companies will not go there anymore, that they are building their own software, but they are basically assembling software. But what they are doing is they are providing tools. Whether the tools are AI-based or they are built from scratch, doesn't matter. The idea is the one wins who has the best tools. Then you have all those people who are using those tools, and so on. So I don't think that we will have any fundamental change. We have only change how we are developing software, what kind of systems we will have available, because now this as the speed of developing software systems accelerates, it starts to solve more and more problems also in other domains. So when we are taking, I don't know, construction processes, we are taking factories, we can make them all much more efficient. We were not doing it so far because the IT companies were not having sufficient amount of manpower to actually do full-scale factory automations, for example. Or it was possible, but it was extremely expensive. Small companies were not able to afford it, only the very large ones. So now it's with AI, I think we will have a significant jump on digitalization of the entire society, digitalization of the industries. We will have advancement on productivity. Microsoft was estimating that if UK would follow reasonable AI intake, their GDP would jump 20% by 2030. We are talking about country where the GDP growth have been always one-digit numbers. So it actually brings us very many opportunities. And from university perspective, again, I don't see very major differences, because when we are looking at software development, back in 1970s, we were using assembly. Then we started to have like C, Pascal, all kind of higher level languages. Nowadays, already before AI, we were not using anymore any low-level constructs. We were using very high-level programming languages, and already then kind of automatic code generators and so on. And it's only accelerating. So we will have more complex software which can be developed faster, cheaper, and it's especially going to the other domains. Because if you're looking at the moment into the other domains, industry, medical, whatever, they require a lot of tools. Say, here in Estonia, we all know all the problems with our state information systems, health registries, social security registry, and so on and so on. Instead of spending 30 million euros and 5 years to develop, maybe in the future we can develop it in 1 year time with 5 million euros. There I see this kind of advantage coming from. But from student perspective, it's more like learning about new tools. Learning not so much anymore low-level constructs, but high-level constructs. And the most important thing is that they have to understand the concepts. That if I'm going to put those 5 different pieces of code together, what do those pieces actually make, how I can test it, how I can make it integrate, and so on. So it's changing, but it's more accelerating us than making us obsolete.
So moving from pure programming to more analyst architect role.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And it's also not so that there has been a lot of discussions that the junior developers are disappearing. No, junior developers will always be there, but just their role is changing. So when at the moment they were writing stupid code, sorry, but in the future they are not anymore writing this stupid code by themselves. The tools are doing it for themselves, but someone has to validate this code. Someone has to assemble it into the larger systems, and that will be the part of the junior developers.
Couple aspects here. And one, I do like the tractor comparison as well in agriculture, but at the same time, there is also statistics that I think it was at the end of 19th century in France, 85 to 90% people were involved with agriculture. These days, it's 3%. Obviously, we've moved from agricultural the economies and systems to much more information society. But still, not all of those roles can change, not all of those programmers. And also when you look at the statistics that Microsoft is saying that 30% of their code is written by AI already, and Meta is saying 50% next year, and Google is saying that they are switching over as well, but rather than actually looking at the percentage of the code, they're actually more focusing on the efficiency and the speed of acceleration and how fast they can code and other aspects and statistics. But when you see that shift, and very popular term right now is the vibe coding, how you actually let the AI to write the code and you are actually just using human prompts. And from that aspect, I'm still a bit curious of how that world is changing and how the student today, I would have hard time with saying to study what. Obviously, I said it's study programming. So you understand that you can actually, even when you do vibe coding, you can actually kind of go through and read the code that's generated and understand the logics and understand the constructs and everything like this. But I do see much more of a shift into the kind of analysis architecture, prompting, the proper prompting, and those aspects. And the other part of it is, how significant that role will be in the future. Will it be that, right now it's, out of those 100% programmers that we have, will we be able to do the same work with just the 10% of that capacity? And what will that 90% then do?
Yeah, well, for me, it's not an issue. I think when we are looking at the moment, the Estonian example, a significant part of the IT sector is working for one customer. That's Estonian government. Very big share of the workforce, companies, etc. However, when we are looking at the Estonian economy as a whole, has one huge challenge because our productivity is below EU average. We are actually still like those guys who are driving around with horses, not with tractors. And what probably will happen in coming years is that still a huge customer will remain Estonian government. but this work can be done with significantly less number of people than it's happening today. And what has also been historically the problem is that, for example, if you take industrial companies, they cannot order IT solutions because they are fairly expensive and they don't have resource to do it. Now what happens is that when more and more work will be done with AI, less and less people are required for the governmental job. Those people remain open. And now at the very same time, due to the AI tools, they can develop software faster, which makes software cheaper, which means that the software will be affordable to the other sectors except the government as well. And we start to see this huge penetration of the IT solutions to the other sectors as well. So the people are changing, the products are getting cheaper, and consequently they will penetrate much wider in the society. So yes, the developer's role will change because this, as I said, this stupid software writing will disappear, which is actually what was interesting. They were surveying the developers. And developers usually were very frustrated because they had to make this stupid code. You're writing 1 month, some kind of a piece of code, which is basically giving you a very little reward. Now with AI tools, this frustration is gone because with 1 day's work, you can do the work what you were doing previously in 1 month's time. So the role and the task of the developers will change significantly. Their productivity will probably grow very rapidly. And as due to this fact, we will see penetration of IT to much wider through the society than it is happening today. So I'm actually looking very much forward to the future because I think our future developers, and the developers are not anymore the ones who are writing software by hand, but the future developers will have first very exciting period because they are not working anymore for one customer. But I don't know, if you are interested about aviation industry, you are going to the company which work with Estonian aviation maintenance companies, for example, developing tools for them. If you're interested about the industry, you can work with this kind of customers and so on. So you have a much wider customer base, much wider problem space, and consequently the rest of the society will also benefit because all those companies are becoming much more productive than they are at the moment. So I see a huge opportunity there. The question is only whether we are smart enough on investing sufficient resources there so that we have sufficient number of developers available in the future as well.
Yes. But now if we broaden the question a little bit, right now we kind of focused very much the discussion on the programming or the IT student or very technological student. When we're looking at the different aspects, e-governance master's program, the School of Economics, other schools of the university, how much do you see that there and what they're teaching will change because of the utilization of AI tools and how will the learning itself change?
Well, from one side, definitely all the students, no matter what kind of profession we are talking about, they have to understand AI. That what do you need for AI? That you need data, you need compute, what AI can bring, where are the limitations, etc., that you are not having only this kind of hype view, but you are having this kind of realistic view. And another thing is something which has been actually discussed for, I don't know, last 20 years about digitalization in general. IT people are not those who can digitize. IT people are not the ones who can develop AI tools without understanding the context. So very important part will be that those people who are working in their respective domains, whether it's on the governmental side or in the industry side, they can work together with IT people because they have the domain knowledge. And from one side, they should understand the possibilities and limitations of AI tools, but from other side, they have to be also the ones who explain to those IT people the problems what they want to solve. Because IT people cannot necessarily understand the problems what have to be solved. There you have to be the domain specific. So if you're a person working in the ministry running departments there, you know where the government wants to go, you know the problems what you want to solve. And then you have to explain those to the IT people that, hey, I need this kind of AI tools for data analysis or whatever. So please develop those to me. IT people alone can never do it. So the students in all other domains, they definitely have to understand AI, how it works, what are the limitations, what's the possibilities. But it does not necessarily mean that all the people are becoming AI experts. Say it's something like if you take office tools. 20, 30 years ago, learning IT meant that you are learning how to use Microsoft Office, Windows, etc., etc. Now it's the same thing with AI. Everyone has to have this basic understanding. Like 20 years ago, everyone learned how to use Word. Nowadays, everyone has to learn how to use AI because then you understand the limitations. But I don't think that those people have to go so deep that they are starting to develop the tools based on AI models by themselves. That's where the IT people are coming in who are really helping to design the systems.
Have you seen how the student focus has changed? Bit of background, I think Sam Altman in his TED talk, if I'm correct, said that with the data they have available of how people use ChatGPT, there is a clear difference. And he brought out 3 different groups, 30, 35 plus, then young people under the 18, 20, and in the middle. And he said that there is a significant difference how ChatGPT is used. That 30, 35 plus, they are using it as an extension of Google. I want this information, organize it better, bring it back to me so I get more knowledge. Younger people, below 20, they're actually using it as almost a life partner or a coach, that they don't make any decisions, or they wake up in the morning, first thing they actually discuss about their day, they start with ChatGPT and asking the advisor, what should I do, how should I approach, this guy said that, how am I feeling today, having deep discussions. How do you see that already coming into the student body and in the conversations during lectures on university operations?
Oh yeah, that's a part of the bigger picture because it's not only AI, but we see very big differences in generations, how they are using IT in general. So definitely older people are computer first, younger people are mobile first. So that's very big differentiation. Another thing which also was already highlighted by several of our teaching staff, that the younger people didn't know how to Google. So they have never learned how to Google properly. We have been, because Google was coming like, 20 years ago, something like that, and we have been living with Google for 20 years. They basically started to use computers like, I don't know, 5 years ago. And then Google was not anymore so dominant because you had you had Reddit, you had all kind of different environments. And people were not so much Google dominant anymore. And I think coming with AI, this one reflects also the way how they are interacting in general. So it's not only about AI, but in general how they are interacting with technology. And students are using it in very many different ways. It might be exactly like extension of Google, because you don't have to go anymore through tens of different references and to synthesize themselves. AI is doing this one for you. So that's one way how to get new knowledge. Obviously, it's a powerful version of the Office because you don't have to write all the text by yourself. Someone can assist you on there. So it's coming in very many different ways. But I think it's reflecting different generations. What people were doing with computers before, they are doing now this one with AI. When they were Googling before, they're using AI as a Google. When they were using multiple different environments, and they're using AI also for multiple different purposes. As simple as that.
It's actually great that Estonia is taking quite an active role in promoting the AI knowledge and bringing and standardizing the knowledge in the student body and also in the high schools. below with the AI Leap program. TalTech is also quite heavily involved in the process. Is there anything new or the latest to share? Or maybe that's not the best question to ask in the middle of the summer.
No, actually, now here in the middle of the summer, quite a lot of people are working quite heavily on this topic, because it's obvious that in September, when the new student cohort is coming, we have to be more and more ready for this challenge. And the challenge is that students are going to use AI, and now our task is that they would use it in right way, in responsible way, in ethical way. They would understand where are the limitations, what is good, what is bad, what is allowed, what's not allowed. So again, we have to set up those frameworks. We are not so much about the rules, that you can do this and that, and you cannot do this and that, but that you would understand. AI is one of the tools. It's like a book in the past. Can you bring a book to the exam if it says that you cannot bring it? No, you cannot. So why should you bring AI to this kind of exam? Very trivial example, but these kind of discussions are happening in society at the moment. Not only at the university level, but also in general, in high schools and junior highs and so on and so on. And our aim is that by fall we have very clear instructions to the students, instructions to the staff. We would have all our regulations are reflecting this one, and also that we want to reach to situations that our students and staff have the tools available. Because one challenge can be also that if the student can afford, he or she will buy this paid version, and if he or she cannot afford, he will have the free version. And obviously the quality is different, and they have like a different possibilities. So we have to avoid also this kind of a digital AI divide in the future. So there are many different challenges, but yeah, we are also bringing up at the moment from our teachers' body positive examples that we have. Some lecturers, some professors who have been using those tools already for a couple of years, and they have something to share. So we want to bring them as AI champions up. And also we are developing different training materials for students, for lecturers. So yeah, we have to be ready to the fact that students are going to use AI anyhow. And our task is to make sure that they are actually doing it in most efficient way. They are doing it in responsible way, and we would not have any issues with data ethics and so on and so on.
Very good. How about university itself? How about professors? How about preparing for the courses, course materials, the university administration, the operations of the university?
Yeah, so professors especially, we try to do it through our AI champions, so that we are bringing out or highlighting those people who have been using those tools or using them, and so that others can go and learn from them, get better understanding what's possible, what's not possible. So that we have kind of knowledge sharing, but we have also developed training materials for the professors about the possibilities, the use cases, because the best way to learn is to understand, that professor there was using it for that task. Let's see if I can do it something like that as well. So that's one thing what we are doing, but on the other side also that our IT department is at the moment looking into the ways how to have as much as possible AI support in different tools what we are using, whether it is we are living in Microsoft clouds, that how much the Microsoft tools by default already provide support, but this kind of AI support is coming throughout different environments, whether we are talking about Atlassian or anything else, that how those possibilities there can be used in the most possible way, most efficient way.
And overall in university operations, running the university, the administrative work.
Yeah, that's exactly coming through Atlassian and those tools.
Okay.
So that's exactly what we are looking at, how we can use features which are available in our tools in most efficient way.
Okay. Now, switching gears a little bit and then moving away from the actually no, before we do that, I do want to come back to and I have a question. We're still discussing AI as a tool and how it can be utilized and how students and faculty and they can utilize and how it can be used in scientific research, etc. How about AGI and having actually the machine intelligence coming as a partner to the table?
Yeah, that's I think goes a little bit back to the discussion what we had before. That I think we are going to use AI as a tool for yeah. Okay, the developments are so fast that last year I would have said that for in a couple of years we are still using it as a tool. Now the very same what has been said by Anthropic people that they are seeing that this time moment is coming much closer. Probably we are talking about 26, 27, so next year or in 2 years' time. That's exactly the moment where the computers would become an everyday companion. That we are not anymore using them as tools, but they are operating independently. And that's the moment where I see that then we are talking about AGI era. Because at the moment, we are interacting with AI. We are giving them tasks. We are hoping something meaningful back from those tasks what we are proposing by ourselves. But when we are going to the AGI area, I think the main difference will be that they will be independently operating like you and me. That I'm not going to tell you in the morning that, hey, now you have to do this and that, don't forget to have a breakfast and so on and so on. You're doing it by yourself. And that's time moment.
Okay. Yeah, because I would say that most of the discussion in an AI is not anymore the AI as a tool. It's actually AI becoming more agentic and more independent.
Yeah, but I think there is still a very big difference or very long way to go from agentic AI to the AGI. I think for me, because agentic AI is still operating within the task what you have been formulating or within the framework what you have been formulating. It's not independent thinker. And AGI for me is independent thinker. That's scary.
Okay. Because for me, the differentiator between just a regular workflow programming and actually having an agentic process is that there is the level of thinking. And actually the LLM comes in and actually does its own analysis about what the next step should be and how it should approach the next task and things like this.
Yeah, but for me, it's still something which is working within a very well-defined context. The agentic AI is not something which is at the moment working with me on, I don't know, doing research on the paper, and in the next moment it's completely independently starts to propose to me some summer holidays because it sees that my writing style has been so bad that I need some holidays. It's not doing this one yet. That's very clear, that it doesn't have this independent thinking.
Okay.
But AGI for me is when those aspects are coming in, that without any context and task what I'm defining, it can start to develop completely independent decision flows.
Okay. For me, that is always a space where I start very quickly comparing, or start asking whether we put a higher standard on AGI or machine intelligence than we put on human intelligence. Because very often, actually working with people, you kind of have the same thing, that you're just so focused on task. And like when you're managing people, you're like, okay, let's take the bigger perspective. When you come in, it's like, it's not only that I want you to, move this stack of material from here to there. I want you to make sure that the warehouse is orderly.
Well, I would compare actually AGI with your wife, for example. That you're working at home, sitting behind your
I have
desk.
to be very careful here now.
Yeah, exactly. But look at the bright side. Maybe in the evening she comes to your office and saying, hey, look, you have been working quite a lot on this task. The deadline is only tomorrow. Let's go and have a dinner instead. And that's AGI moment. That completely independently, without any kind of request, it can come up with completely new ideas, with completely new pathways or something like that.
Okay.
But you are not requesting from it. At the moment, we are requesting AI to fulfill something, do something. But to have like this is something what goes back to one definition going back to the 1980s already. That what differentiates AI and human being. This biological apparatus, biological body what we have. And the biological body can generate some kind of ideas without any, how to say, specific assignment. AI or AGI at the moment, it cannot yet do this one.
Okay.
It still requires some stimulus to do it.
That is an interesting distinction then, indeed, that this type of an independence, because to a certain extent it feels to me that it's just a kind of a programming choice. Because I have a feeling that it's very easy for the OpenAI or Anthropic to actually have Claude or ChatGPT kind of start being more proactive. Just having it, okay, every now and then ping, or every now do this kind of context ping in the background.
Exactly. You were very right that it's somehow down to this, and that's the reason why Anthropic people, Jack Clark, for example, said that, okay, they are already bringing down this one from 2030 to 2026, 27, that it is somehow a development problem, but it's also a question how much you are learning about yourself, or how much AI is learning about yourself. That there is a huge difference when you are sitting here in Estonia versus in France in, let's say, March. In March, here in Estonia, you should never propose to a person to go to some kind of a nice outdoor restaurant to have a wine in the evening. In France, in March, that's a very feasible idea because temperatures plus 20 degrees, it's wonderful to sit outside. But it means it has to get in all those different contexts and start to work with you. So it has to learn from you, from your environment, all those kind of things. Yes, theoretically it is already possible, practically it's not yet feasible. So that's something what they're talking exactly. That's the world is going in that direction, but we are not yet there. We are not yet there that we would understand where you are, what are your habits, all those kind of things. It's somehow scary that when AI would start to learn about you as much as your wife knows, or you know by yourself, that's kind of scary thinking in some way. But that's something where I would say that, okay, now we have moved over to the AGI world, when this agent or whatever sitting in your computer is behaving like your wife.
But for me, that's very close, because I
Yeah,
think
that's why I'm saying that it's like maybe 1 or 2 years time away.
But that's the part where I'm like, okay, so for me, for all intensive purposes, we should think as if we live in AGI already. Especially when we're talking about when I work with organizations and management of organizations and boards, and it's like you should really think like you're there already, because 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, even if it's 5 years, if you're not preparing your organization, if you're not going through the workforce transformation, if you're not looking at all the processes, not considering that you have this kind of independent agent or independent intelligence coming in and advising and working very fast, that can be a very good partner to you or can be a very fierce competitor to you. That is kind of the scary scenario or the moment there.
There is also another challenge when you're talking about organizations. Then one thing what I understand very clearly is that anything which is based on your own organizational data, that's the information what's available for AI from within your organization. But I can bring you one very trivial example, what I don't know how it will be solved, is that you have all kind of background information. And the background information is usually in non-structured way. And we still don't have good possibilities to bring in what is here in Estonia especially relevant, human-to-human interaction. Lot of information is distributed based on human-to-human interaction. And also at university level discussions, when we are talking about university strategy, we bring in a lot of information what we have received by discussing with ministry officials, with industry representatives, etc. That's non-structured information which is nowhere documented. However, this information is very vital when we are making strategic decisions. And now that's something where AI will have huge challenges also in the future. How to capture this information which might be contradicting even official documents, contradicting official strategies, where we see at the governmental level very frequent that, yeah, we have a strategy, but in 2 years' time, conditions are changed so much that we are dropping this previous strategy. We are doing something completely different. But this information is discussed orally very long time before it actually becomes like some kind of a new strategy or new document. And if we are missing this time window of half a year or 1 year, we have lost a lot. And now the question is how this information can be integrated into the AI tools which are used to assist running the university, for example. And that's something, a challenge for me, how to breach this gap in between human and the machine. Something that is in our brains versus something that is written on the paper.
Brain-computer interface. Let's
Yes.
put chips in
Yes,
the brain.
that brings exactly. I
Let's
mean,
put chips in the brain.
if we would have a chip in our rector's head, then this AGI at university would be much more knowledgeable than it is at the moment.
Yes. That's an interesting concept, and this is the other one that I'm kind of keeping my eye on. It's like the advancement of when do we truly integrate, and when do we actually resolve the input-output problem and the speed of communication.
And
because the oral communication is so slow, and if we would have both chips in the brain and we would have gigabit internet between us.
And not only that the oral conversation is slow, I would be also very uncomfortable if all my conversations are recorded and stored somewhere. If I'm talking, for example, I'll bring a very simple example. A lot of meetings are either informal or where we are discussing things based on Chatham House or whatever. We don't want to record this information. However, all the information what we're receiving, we are using to make decisions. And I think that will not happen with AI in the very near future, that we would start to use AI directly for making kind of strategic decisions about university, because we don't want to give to AI all the information what we actually know. So for me, AI will still remain as a tool what we are using to assist us, not to make the decisions instead of us.
I have a feeling that is still the conversation. That is a big conversation that needs to be had, and that will need to happen in the near future. Because when you look at the developments, like what OpenAI and Join Ivy joining forces, the discussion there is that the technology that we're using every day right now, this is not AI-ready technology. We're very much using the internet technologies or the IT technologies before that. And I have a feeling that we're very close. I know in many cases where people are recording all of their meetings. Many cases where people are recording, starting to record their personal conversations. I think it will be very evident when people, whether it's the glasses, whether it's something that you wear on your neck or something like this. And there will be the part of it that some people will be recording anyway, and you just don't know it. And you use it for the personal benefit and they're not sharing it. But this will integrate into the conversations, and I'm actually curious when this level of trust, or when this will be kind of a non-issue. That I consider any communication that I make, anything that I say in any room, as publicly available information potentially.
Yeah, it's actually a very huge topic. So, for example, recently, just a month ago, we made a decision here at university that by default, none of the AI agents can participate at any team meetings. So it's a university IT level policy, so that all the meetings for external participants are going through the lobby. And if an agent is sitting in the lobby, then we won't let them in. Why? Because at the moment, when it comes to the agents, it's a wild, wild west. If you're having in one of the meetings 10 different agents, you don't know where the data is going to, who is going to use that data, and etc., etc. So we made a decision, no AI agents in the meetings unless explicitly allowed. And I think we start to see more and more problems with this one. I have been very frequently on meetings where they are saying very clearly all the devices behind the door. No
Mm-hmm.
mobile phones, no smartphones, no laptops whatsoever. Why? Because this device can listen you, even if it is in well, take not Microsoft, but Facebook tools or whatever. They can listen you even in the passive mode. And people are becoming very sensitive about data.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know, AI is living on data. So if we are having, again, I think for me, one of the biggest challenges in the future, how we will have a complete picture. Because we as humans, even when we are not making any notes, we are storing it in our brain and we are making some kind of connections.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem for AI is that if it is in some meetings and it is not in all of the meetings, it will have a distorted image. And
Mm-hmm.
how it can actually assist you if it has only a distorted image. And all those issues about data availability, data completeness, and so on, that's, I think, one of the biggest challenges. And it's not technical challenge. It's pure psychological, data protection, all these kind of challenges.
But here I'm a bit more skeptical of the human supremacy from the memory and containment standpoint as well, because even though we have all this information, I think our capability of recalling it at the right time it can be quite flawed.
Absolutely.
And I think that that has been one of the discoveries, and with the use of IT, with the use of analytics, with the use of AI, all of this, that you actually have a much better capability, even with some of the data missing, to actually analyze and come up to the better and faster conclusions. And to hallucinations, of course, as well. But this is something where, once again, I keep in my mind this discussion always comes back to, am I making a fair comparison with humans? That human is not infallible. Same thing as everybody talks about the self-driving cars. For me, that criteria is, what is the point when they're safer than humans?
Mm-hmm.
They will never be perfect. No system will ever be perfect. But when it will be better than humans, and I know the amount of distractions that humans have behind the wheel, and I definitely have more confidence in the automation in the self-driving car uh, than in many humans driving or having a cup of coffee or having conversation or smoking a cigarette or having a fight with the spouse and.
But you actually touched a very interesting topic, and I think it's highly relevant also in the context of AI. Several car companies have said, and it's proven by statistics, their self-driving cars are much more capable and much safer than human-driven cars. The only reason why they are not launching self-driving cars are humans on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you are having a mixed environment where you are having humans and self-driving cars together, self-driving cars have predictable behavior, humans have unpredictable behavior. And you cannot actually model all this unpredictable behavior. And when you're having a crash
Mm-hmm.
with self-driving cars, and obviously self-driving car is blamed because, we humans, we are not making mistakes. So that's also like a philosophical issue. The technologies, there are several European car makers who have all the technology in place, but they have said very clearly, we are not releasing our cars on public roads only when you are, I don't know, building in Germany a highway which is only for self-driving cars, and tomorrow the cars will be there on the road. No questions there. And I think we will have something similar here with AI as well.
Mm-hmm.
That there will be this fundamental, I wouldn't say clash, but kind of a conflict in between humans and technology. That in many situations, technology is much more capable, but we just cannot put it into the hands of the humans.
Yes, that's one part of it. And the other part of it is also that there is, with the utilization of and adoption of technology, there is this human bias that gets involved, and sometimes it's a lack of knowledge, sometimes it's just lack of experience,
Yep.
and then certain fears. And this is where I am actually quite optimistic about the all existing capabilities of AI. That I think we're much closer to AGI by most of the definitions. And then this is where I advise people to have a much more open mind and look at the capabilities and where it can be utilized already. But I did want to actually dive in on another topic, and this is something that the university and they has done quite a bit of research, and then you've been quite involved with the dependable systems. And I just saw a presentation by Andrei Karpathy on the kind of software 3.0, where he's discussing where the systems are going and how AI is influencing actually software development and things like this. And he had this comparison. He said that AI currently is kind of a stochastic simulation of humans. So if we have kind of dependable system and algorithm systems that we actually can kind of track and know the result, with AI, it's the probabilities that we can guess the probabilities and all this. How do we combine those two worlds? And how do you think? When do you think AI will get less hallucinating and more kind of certifiable proof point we can actually depend and know what it's doing?
Well, some people, especially on technology side, not on from the business side, from technology side, they have said that that's something what cannot be solved with the existing models. That we need something completely different than the deep neural network. And by looking at the way how we have constructed, not we, how deep neural networks have been constructed and what kind of mathematics is there behind, it's a probabilistic model. It will never be correct. We never can trust it completely. And we can mitigate different risks related to this one. But to have a system that can be trustworthy, we need something else than neural network. Neural network is a probabilistic model, want we or not. That what makes it at the moment also very attractive, because you can construct very large probabilistic models, and there with probabilistics you always have this very nice possibility that something starts to extrapolate and so on. But if you want to have a system which is explainable, you cannot achieve it with the current models. So that's a huge technological challenge. At the moment, we have this kind of, how to say, best effort systems, but we don't have systems which have guarantees.
Absolutely. And right now, one of the best solutions is to have this probabilistic system called human in the loop.
Exactly, exactly. And that's the reason why also very many people are arguing against AGI or are worried about AGI, because there you would not have a human in the loop anymore. And if you don't have a human in the loop, then basically the question is who will finally pull the plug from the wall and to stop it.
Absolutely, but I intentionally use probabilistic for a human as well.
Yes.
That you have that dependency there, because
Of course.
you can't track every decision back to the original algorithm there either.
Absolutely.
Yes. Maybe one more topic to cover. I think we're covering a lot of good ground over here. Maybe a bit of an update on as TalTech is quite heavily involved with different cooperation projects. They're heavily involved with the Estonian ecosystem, with the different discussions on AI topics, with the discussions on additional compute, collaboration with the new data centers and things like this, and also a lot of international cooperation. Any exciting news or just topics to share there, or what are the key focus points that you're paying attention to the most?
Well, most of the research is at the moment AI based. So whether it is applying AI on solving some problems, especially like data analytics is a very good example, whether it's biological data or construction data or whatever. Another thing is that AI is offering you very many new possibilities on, let's say, on diagnosis and so on, advanced image processing, or it can provide you support on solving all kind of industrial problems and so on. So AI is going horizontally through. That's something what we are seeing today, and obviously it starts small. So it means that very many things which are happening at the moment with the Estonian industry, they are on applying simpler machine learning stuff. They are applying on simpler vision tools and so on and so on. No, probably it takes some time until we see here in Estonia some companies who are really developing themselves large AI models. We have some very exciting startups which have been developing AI-based tools, whether it's Pactum, Verif, and so on. So they are obviously there on the global market. But we probably start to see this kind of gradual intake of AI tools in various industries, and it's really horizontal. So I wouldn't say that there is like one flag to wave for, but for example, the projects what we have been doing through IRA, so it's AI and robotics in Estonia, there has been like 60 plus companies who have had their AI pilots implemented, or we are having different projects at the EU level, whether it is about drones, whether it is about information systems, health data. So there are many different things, but the common denominator is very simple. AI is going horizontal throughout different domains. And in the rest of the Europe, we don't probably see so much LLM developments, but more about how to apply different methods and tools and models for solving various problems. And I hope that here in Europe will be very clever that we can actually support all industries. So in US, obviously, the investments are going very largely into those large AI companies. But I hope that here in Europe we will have in the future also a lot of investments into the regular companies on AI uptake, which would bring European production capabilities and service sector capabilities back to the level where they were, like, I don't know, 40 years ago.
Okay, excellent. And the different cooperation models internationally, and the projects with the Global South and working with Africa and other regions. Is there something that you see, or actually taking even a step back, do you see an approach for the Estonian kind of digital society developments that will change because of the AI and coming AGI in the next 5-year perspective, and also the approach that we're involved with international collaboration?
Well, when it comes to the Estonian government, then in Estonia we have seen a lot of AI pilots happening throughout the government. We have the Kratikavas, which is fairly good one. But I come back to the basic principles of AI. AI does not provide you repeatable behavior. AI does not provide you explainable behavior. And as long as we don't have this one, I sincerely hope that here in Estonia we don't make the same mistake like it was done in Holland, where the social security system was given over to AI, and as a consequence, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people were left without social benefits. And that was bad design, bad implementation. We can use AI very clearly in very many sectors where we can empower government, whether it's on data analytics, whether it is on better understanding some kind of global trends. All those aspects, we should do it very rapidly and very fast. Health data analytics, for example, how to get more value out of our enormously great health data system, which is combining biobank with the health records. Those are the things where we are not very advanced, but we could get a lot of value out of it. But I don't believe much into decision-making, AI-based decision-making, because as soon as you have some sort of a bias, all the decisions might be correct, but some might be less correct. So all these kind of things are, at least at the moment, a very bad idea. So we should use where is the advantage of AI and where there is no advantage of AI. And the same thing goes to the international collaboration, that I think Estonia has been excellent on data. well, except maybe in the last couple of months, but in general, Estonian data culture has been very good. And if we can bring this idea over to the rest of the world, that before going to AI, you need data. The data has to be correct, it has to be structured, then we can start to talk about AI. Because the worst thing what you can do is to apply AI on incomplete data. And if you're doing this one, you will start to get automatically incorrect answers. So this Estonian know-how and understanding how to handle data would be probably one of the first things what should be exported to the rest of the world. Because I had a very interesting discussion with one of the UK officials. They are investing an enormous amount of funding at the moment to AI, both on the government level, at universities and so on. But he was really sad that a large amount of UK data is available only on paper. And as long as the data remains on the paper, you cannot use any AI whatever for this one. So they have an enormous challenge to overcome. We don't have this one, and we should export our understanding how to handle data, structure it, make it available for AI, and then you can do with AI anything, whatever you want.
An interesting thought that how much analysis or research has been done actually on kind of the decision making in the past, and then comparing it with or running some models against the same data that has been available for decision making, and asking AI to make certain decisions, and then comparing the results and quality of the decisions.
Yeah, that's an interesting issue, and some people have been looking into it. And still, what the problem is that you have one decision today, and when you're running the same thing tomorrow, you will get a different answer, with very high probability. It comes down to the probabilistic nature of the AI. What you can do is that you can get out some trends, but you should not count on getting absolute answers. That you can start to get kind of trends that, look, there in this neighborhood of Tallinn, the poverty is rising. Probably you need to have more attention on, I don't know, law enforcement and so on and so on. But to make automatic decisions that, look, there is the problems are raising, you should place a police station on that street. I would be very dubious. I wouldn't believe that decision. Because tomorrow it would say, oh, on the neighboring street it's much better because overnight the balance point was moving a little bit 500 meters to the left. That's kind of a very trivial example, so to say. But this one you can actually apply to any decision-making process. A smallest change in the data set can give you very different answers. And it's more to understand trends, to give input again to the humans for with alternatives and so on, that the humans don't... It helps to understand the big picture. But I'm very cautious on automatic decision making.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that was actually what Andre Karpati in his Software 3.0 also came to, that you should segment the independence and the independent analysis, and have the regular checkpoints and validation points. And this one is an interesting concept.
Exactly, and I really recommend to read those different analysis papers what large AI companies themselves are doing. Anthropic is writing very many interesting papers, and they basically said that they themselves cannot explain how their models are working, because the current modern statistical research is not able to handle so large models. So the classical statistics doesn't work there anymore. So again, they basically said that they have built now something what they are calling a microscope, and they are doing an analysis of their large model under this microscope. But you know what happens when you're looking at the human body under the microscope? You see extremely tiny fraction, and you cannot conclude anything about the entire human body as such. And that's what they say, that they're at the moment looking into those small spots. They try to understand how, for example, it can conversate in multiple different languages. They don't have very good understanding how it actually happens, but now thanks to the microscopes, they can trace it down. But they're looking into extremely small fractions. how it works in general, they don't know.
Interesting challenges. Okay, but getting closer to wrapping it up, 2 questions. What is kind of alarming you the most, or what is scaring you the most that you're keeping eye on very carefully with AI, AGI developments, and the other part is what excites you the most?
Well, what worries me the most probably is anything related to cyber, because I see a potential that it can be a very powerful cyber tool, cyber weapon, actually. And especially when it becomes a weapon in the hands of the governments, then we might see a war in a completely different dimension. What excites me the most is probably that we could really boost Estonia bigger than it is at the moment. That if we are doing the right investments, if we are doing the right uptake in the country, then we can have probably something similar like what we had with our digitalization in the beginning of 2000s. Estonia suddenly became much bigger than it was. We had like economic growth, we had international visibility was growing, and if we could repeat this one again to make Estonia much bigger than it is by number of people and by our industry, to make industry, especially other sectors and the IT sector, much more productive, and in that way how to make everyone's life here in Estonia better than, we have a declining workforce. The only way how to make us bigger is to do it through automation. And AI is automation for me.
Absolutely. The extension of the e-residency program with its goal to have 10 million e-residents, we can have 100 million agents, Estonian agents. And yes, I completely share the optimism and actually the good position. And I keep bringing out the fact that I think when we look at the Estonia's experience, it's been a very good implementer of technology and an implementer of the innovation that comes out of US and other areas. And not only implementer of technology, but actually organizational change and societal change, and actually making those big processes coming through.
Yeah.
Because that is a very significant part of the process. Technology itself is, I argue, simpler to implement. Getting the organizations to change, getting the government to change, getting the society to change, that takes much more focused attention and communication and collaboration and many of those areas. And Estonia has been quite good at the executing on that change. And I think this is something where we can continue on our own path, and then having Estonia much more AI, AGI ready state. But also share that experience and support the other countries that will actually be taking the next technological leap much faster than we did, because to a certain extent we are in the legacy stage now, and we don't have the big ask or the need from a societal standpoint. We have very well running government. As a citizen, I'm very satisfied with the services that I get. Yeah, I'm looking forward to a bit more personal state where and a more proactive state. So I don't even have to, react to when my driver's license is expiring and all of this. That it's automatically renewed, or any other aspects. And I think this is something that's actually very, very exciting about the Estonia's role. But I think we've covered a lot of ground. I have to remind myself that we're in the middle of the summer in Estonia, and it's we're actually recording it in quite significant weekend with the Song and Dance Festival, and I think rather than being here in this very lovely studio, but it's still a studio in the basement, let's go outside and enjoy the summer. And I really appreciate you being here. I really appreciate this conversation and the kind hospitality of TalTech. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting.